So this is my after action report on the Nick Ricascia live stream that I did with Englentine at I Love Comics as my partner, and Ethan Van Sciver / John Malin as my opponents, and Nick Ricascia as the moderator. I just want to start this off by saying that Nick Ricascia was a very good moderator. Going into it, I sort of expected him to be an ally of Ethan Van Sciver just because Nick Ricascia has been involved in a lot of drama in Comicsgate over the past 6 months or so, but actually having been in the live stream, Nick Ricascia was absolutely a centrist figure that proposed fair questions that anybody could answer and could expound upon their point more. So I really want to thank him for that, and for having me on, and for having Englentine on at Out of Comics. That in terms of how it was constructed, that was a very, very good debate. So this is just my reaction as to what was actually said during that debate. I'm not going to lie, this is a Friday night going into a Saturday morning. I'm kind of sauced off of alcohol, and this is just my raw thoughts on the subject. I was watching the chat during the debate. If you watch the debate, I really don't speak that much, and part of the reason is because if you're going to have a productive debate, you need to let people speak their piece. So I cannot just sit there and just challenge Ethan Van Sciver and John Malin on everything, because that would not be productive and it wouldn't be fair. If my turn comes up, when I have a chance to speak, I can't expect them to not interrupt me unless I am also fair to them. So I know for a fact that over the past couple of days, ever since I made that video, Comicsgate is Dead, that there were a lot of people kind of looking to me as being some kind of savior. And I really don't know if I fulfilled that role. Some of you, I very may well have done that. Some of you, I absolutely may have let you down. Either way, I represented myself to the best of my ability given the format that we were dealing with. Because, like I said, I was not interested in speaking over people. I wasn't interested in making this into a more contentious issue than it had to be. If you've really been following the drama, if you've really been following the evolution of these YouTube channels, you know exactly what's going on, right? So me saying anything, it's almost a redundancy. The only reason that I made that video, the Comicsgate is Dead video, that kind of sparked all of this, that kind of sparked this live stream, the only reason I made it was just simply to kind of signal to people that it's like, look, if you're trying to follow the drama and you notice that there's something wrong, and you notice that it's all about Ethan Van Sciver and his cronies or his friends or whatever you want to put it, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that have that same opinion. And you can absolutely think that my opinion is completely wrong. You can absolutely think that I am just jealous, that I only care about the fact that I'm shut out of this money, even though I could have monetized that drama video, the Comicsgate is Dead video, and I didn't. Even though, it goes back to this philosophical question of what does Comicsgate mean to you? And to me, it meant just simply criticizing comics, calling out bad actors, calling out people that were unprofessional in a supposedly professional industry, in a supposedly media, dominated medium. That's what it meant to me, and that's what I built my channel on. That's what a lot of other people that have been in this for much longer than me, that's what they built their channel on. And in the past 6 months or so, it's become the Ethan Van Sciver and Friends Club. And I don't think that anybody that can look at what's going on can really dispute that. you could say, like the War Campaign has, like some of the Ethan Van Sciver superfans have, that this is a good thing. That Ethan Van Sciver is building a community, that he's building a way for other people to make revenue. That, yeah, you could absolutely say that the fact that it has become more about Ethan Van Sciver in particular, you could say that's a good thing. And I completely understand that perspective. But don't tell me that in the spring of 2017, that's what, which is when I got involved in all this, that's what people cared about. And there were people who were involved in this sort of thing much longer than me that have similar concerns. And if you're smart enough, and if you've been following this drama enough, you know these different divisions, and you know who these people are. And if you don't know who they are, I encourage you to seek out more information about them. So in terms of the debate itself, I regret that I didn't speak more. A lot of times I just have whomever was speaking have the floor, and I didn't challenge them. And like I said, because the fact that Nick Keisha was doing such a good job of moderating, it didn't really occur to me to try to wrestle the floor from people who were speaking. Because I just simply didn't feel that was my place. I wasn't on my own channel. I wasn't talking necessarily about the things that were most important to me. I was talking about the things that were important to the audience at large. The big thing that you can pin on me after watching that debate is that you can say that I am a big-time Vox Day supporter. And I don't really care about Vox Day. I'll tell you that straight up, right? He does have a lot of really exorable, and I said that in the debate, he has a lot of exorable, which means, worthy of being excrement views. He is a charlatan. He is arguably a racist. He is arguably a sexist. He is arguably all these terrible things. And there's really no getting around that. When you look at what he believes, and when you look at what he, what the things that he has said, there's no getting around that. However, the one thing that I really, really respect about Vox Day is that he is building his own platform. He is building alternative methods to get the product that people pay for out to the customer, regardless of SJW interference. And that's a big thing, because the whole thing that set this off was that Ethan Van Sciver admitted in a live stream that he did right after the cash grab deal fell apart. He admitted that he said to Nurkish that he should drop this Discord, and Nurkish refused, and then shortly after, he had nothing to do with Comicsgate. And I did a video on that, and you can watch it, and you can see exactly where I'm coming from on that. But the point is that everything that Comicsgate has done has been offensive to the SJW mindset, right? Like, I would say that Comicsgate really, really started in July of 2017. And what happened then was the milkshake incident, which is where Heather Antos took a selfie of herself and a bunch of other assistant editors, and they were all smiling, and they dedicated it to Flo, what's her name, that was a very, very big deal in the early 60s Marvel. And there's no denying that Flo was a big deal in what became known as the brand of Marvel Comics, and the movies that everybody likes across the world probably would not exist if it hadn't been for her. So there's no denying that. And the milkshake incident was totally contrived from the ground up, right? Like, Heather Antos received very, very little negative criticism because she took this selfie. However, that little criticism she took was just enough to tie it into Diversity in Comics and to tie it into Comicsgate. And because of that, Comicsgate got labeled as a hate movement, and it's something that Comicsgate has never been able to shake. And yet, Ethan Van Sciver claims this label as his own. and he literally claimed the name Comicsgate as his own. And with the Vox Day incident where Vox Day proposed this imprint of Comicsgate comics, and he was going to produce comics that were called Comicsgate under the label, and Ethan Van Sciver says, no, that's not cool. That's not right. In fact, Ethan Van Sciver has done this channel where he owns the name of Comicsgate, and it got into this very, very difficult legal battle, but basically Ethan Van Sciver came out on top of that. And when I was watching this whole thing, I was like, on the one hand, it's really, really stupid to say that Vox Day, Theodore Beale of the Sad Puppies campaign and of Gamergate and of so many other things where he tried to take a cultural movement into his own and claim it. Like, he is absolutely an opportunist. He is absolutely a snake. However, for Ethan Van Sciver to use that attempt from Theodore Beale, Vox Day, to take over Comicsgate, and Ethan Van Sciver basically says, no, Ethan, Comicsgate belongs to me. It's like, of all of the possible outcomes of that scenario, that was maybe the worst one, because it says that anything that is or is not Comicsgate now belongs to Ethan Van Sciver. And Ethan Van Sciver can determine what is or isn't Comicsgate and make it part of his brand. And the Nurkish incident, where on a live stream he admitted that Nurkish's attempt to distance himself from this Comicsgate drama was not sufficient because he was tied to Comicsgate by virtue of the fact that he had appeared on Ethan Van Sciver's own live streams before. It proved that he was making this label into his own, even though the factors that constituted the label were much older than Ethan Van Sciver's involvement in the movement. And that didn't sit well with me, and I know for a fact it didn't sit well with at least a handful of people, because it proved that Ethan Van Sciver had this huge ego, and he had this huge desire that only spread to making money. And I can completely understand why Ethan Van Sciver would make money. I've made a couple cents off of this YouTube thing, but ultimately I do it as a hobby. I do it as something that I like. And I probably won't stop because of this. But in the debate that me, Eglantine, Ethan Van Sciver, and John Malin had on Necrocasia Stream, they kept trying to pin me and Eglantine as just simply being commentators that had no financial stake in all this. And when it comes to Eglantine, they're just flat out wrong. Eglantine's financial status is absolutely dependent on criticizing mainstream comics. So on him, they're wrong. On me, yeah, they're right. Right? I don't have a financial stake in all this. And that's a blessing and a curse. On the one hand, yeah, it means that I don't ultimately care what happens as a result of this. Even if the SJWs completely win and Comicsgate completely falls apart, it's not really going to affect me. And that is a fair criticism of me. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. However, it goes the other way around too. Because I don't have any financial stake in this, it also means that I don't really have a problem in calling bad things bad and good things good. Calling balls balls and strikes strikes. And when I look at what Comicsgate has become compared to what it was even, 6 months ago, it's the Ethan Van Sciver and Friends Club. And I said that on my Comicsgate is Dead video. And I said that in the live stream. And I've said that in other channels that I'm sure will be leaked to the public. The Ethan Van Sciver, if this movement against the way that certain mainstream characters are being treated in mainstream American superhero comics are being treated, if all of that started just to make comic creator Ethan Van Sciver money, then yeah, Comicsgate has been an unbridled success. Because that is absolutely what has happened. But if it was a more diverse, open movement that had nothing to do with what any given pro in the industry said, where have we gotten? What can we really point to as a success? That's an honest question. I really don't know the answer to that. And you can hear in the words I'm slurring a lot, and you can hear the words that, my lisp, which is a natural thing, is out in force. I even saw that in the live stream. And yeah, that's a fair point. Sure, I'm not the best speaker. I'll say that right now. But the point of making my Confiscate is Dead video, and the point of me commentating on Captain Cummings' video that he just made earlier today, November 9th, which is now November 10th, but earlier today about basically making fun of Ethan Van Sciver, where I commented that it's all burning down. The only thing left to do is to grab marshmallows. Which I stand by. That is what is happening to the movement formerly known as Confiscate. I don't wish failure and bad things to happen to Ethan Van Sciver and all the pros that have hitched their wagons to him. I really don't. When Rainbow Brute launches, I'll probably support it. When whatever John Malin is doing, whatever it's Graveyard Shift 2 or Jawbreakers 2 or whatever, I'll probably support that. Right? It's not that I wish any of these people to fail. It's that it's just simply a commentary on the fact that the factors that brought the movement that became known as Confiscate together has failed. That they are no longer relevant. And that may be a good thing. You could argue that that's a good thing, but you cannot argue that that is the case, which is what I think John Malin and Ethan Van Sciver tried to do in that live stream, even as they were saying that, yes, they have final arbitration on what is or is not Confiscate. That's the problem, right? It's like, if Confiscate is just simply movement to call out SJW nonsense in comics, there's better voices to do that than Ethan Van Sciver, John Malin, Mike Miller, Nasser, Rabidi, etc., etc., etc. There are better voices to do that. And that's not how those people use Confiscate. They use it as a way to enhance their revenue stream, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't, right? I cannot sit here as somebody who's really not making money off this and begrudge people making money off it. I'm glad that they're making money off of it, but that doesn't say that they're not really changing what we had a problem with in the industry. There is this book called Nina and Ariel, and it's Ed Bennis's very first crowdfunded campaign. He funded it on Kickstarter. I bought it. I think it was like $5 plus shipping and handling for the first issue, and I have it now in my hands, in my address. Whereas Cyberfrog, which was $25 plus shipping and handling for a book that was supposed to own the SJWs, well, where is that? That was supposed to ship in October. A 1-month delay for a crowdfunding campaign really isn't that bad, but how much longer can we expect to wait for that? Jawbreakers was supposed to launch in, September, August, something like that, and it still hasn't launched. The book that came after it, Ironsides, is launched, but not Jawbreakers. And that's the thing about Confiscate and about supporting pros, is that, if you just simply want crowdfunded comics that cater to your interests, there's probably something out there for that. You just have to look. If you want to support people who were speaking out against this in the industry, it's going to take you a while. And that's not what this movement started as. So you can say 100% that I am just a coward hiding behind anonymity that that has nothing to contribute. That is a fair criticism, right? I cannot level criticism at people that are creating things and not expect criticism in return. I don't fault people for thinking that. But look at what Ethan Van Sciver and people that are associated with him are doing and ask if that's really why you got into this element of the culture war. And right, that is 100% fair. But that is why I made the video that I did a couple days ago. And that is why I got on this live stream tonight. It's to signal. It's not about what happened with the cash grab crowdfunding campaign. And it's not about what happened with Ethan Van Sciver. It's not about what happened with any one pro. It's signaling to people that you do not have to be beholden to all this nonsense. That all of this culture war stuff, if you do not believe that it doesn't represent what you got into this thing for, don't support it. Just flat out, don't support it. That's all I'm saying. If you really, really like Ethan Van Sciver, and you really, really like the people that are kind of in his clique, go ahead, support them. Like I said, when these guys' crowdfunded comics count come up, I'm probably going to financially support them. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna hang on their every word. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna hang on to them for emotional validation. And that's why I made the video. It's just saying that whatever this started out as, that's not what it is anymore. So that is, that's a big deal. And that's why I made that video, and that's why, if you listen to that live stream, Ethan Van Sciver goes on at some length about, oh gosh, he's so he's so oppressed. He's such the object of so many people's envy. It's not that at all. It's that he is deliberately drumming up drama that doesn't need to be there. That it's just like, why the fuck am I getting emotionally invested in this? Why is anybody getting emotionally invested in this that isn't emotionally invested in Ethan Van Sciver? That's the problem. And if you are, great. I don't envy you. I don't fault you. I don't really care. That's good for you. But you're not actually helping to defeat the SJWs in comics. Is the problem, right? Because this crowdfunding comics campaign has been going on for years. Sorry. This goes back to like the 1950s. People crowdfunding their own comics for one method or another. It's nothing new. And I'm glad that it's people from a right-wing perspective that are doing it, but don't feel the need to get embroiled in this drama. Right? Because so many people feel that they've been injured or wronged by this. And I'm telling you that those feelings are not illegitimate. Though you are absolutely right to feel that this movement has been co-opted, because it has. And war campaign members that watch this video, you can say it's a good thing. And I can't say that you're necessarily wrong, but it absolutely has become the Ethan Van Sciver and Friends movement. And even though in that debate, I don't really talk very much, I think the points I make are totally valid. I don't think that, for the most part, Malin and Ethan Van Sciver have a counterpoint to them. So we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to get more subs out of this. I don't know if I'm going to get more attention out of this. I don't know if more people are going to care. Like I said, I am pretty wasted. And you can hear my lisp, and it's coming through pretty strong. So I don't know if anybody's even going to care about this video. But if you are invested in the house that Enclantine, Doug Ernst, Kevin Cummings, Diversity Comics, if those guys built, and you're like, man, Ethan Van Sciver is doing all these weird things, you're not alone. A lot of people believe that, and a lot of people are right to believe that he absolutely has made it about him. And all the ramifications that brings. So, yeah, I've talked a lot. I've talked at some length. I can see the time. It's been about 25 minutes. So, tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree with me. Tell me if you disagree. Tell me if you think this is just some rambling diatribe. In any case, this is Unranked Chevron signing off. And if you think I'm right, good. If you don't, good too. But know that there's a reason that people feel the way they do about this. It's a lot more going on than is immediately apparent. So, in any case, this is Unranked Chevron signing off.